Hey everyone, my name is Lizzie and today I'm going to let you know what happened to my chocolate wine batch. Where do I even begin? I don't know how I thought this was going to be a good idea. I was thinking, ooh, would this taste like Bailey's? Would this be less sweet? So let's talk about the ingredients first. And whenever you're making wine, what you need is some sort of liquid, you need some sort of sugar, and you need yeast. So if I get the yeast part out of the way, I always use the same yeast, which is EC1118 when making wine. These come in small packages and it gives you that wine taste. So when I'm thinking of wine versus Bailey's, they do not taste the same. Therefore, I'm wondering if this would actually taste like Bailey's. Bailey's is on the sweet side and typically wine is not. However, this batch had much more sugar than my typical wine batches. For the liquid part, I used water, and in order to have that chocolatey feel, I added Nesquik, but not the powder. I added the liquid Nesquik. Why the liquid? Because the liquid would blend in with the water and there would not be a little residue of powder at the bottom. Since yeast is powder and it sinks to the bottom of the jar post fermentation, I did not want my chocolate powder to also sink to the bottom of the jar post fermentation and just hang out with the yeast. Therefore, liquid Nesquik it is, and I'm used to always adding sugar even when I use sweet juice. Therefore, I added sugar and this was a mistake. It was way too sweet. The starting gravity was way up there. The typical starting gravity should be in that green area of the hydrometer, so roughly 1.09 to 1.1 max. It was way past 1.1. It was closer to dessert wine at the bottom of your hydrometer, and it was too sweet. And therefore, once there's too much sugar to eat for the yeast, they get stressed. It's like an employee having too much work on their hands. And when the yeast gets stressed, it leads to off flavors. Lo and behold, I tried my alcohol wine last Monday and it was disgusting. How did it taste? It tasted sweet, yes, because there was just so much sugar for the yeast to eat. It didn't finish it all. The final gravity was at 1.012. So there was still sugar that could have been eaten by the yeast. However, I did not want to take that chance and waste the yeast time because it was hopeless. The batch tasted gross. I tasted it and it tasted sweet, and there were also off flavors. When smelling the wine, you could smell a little bit of these off flavors in there. And by the way, when you smell nice odors and alcohol, these are called esters. And esters are the odors that come, they're a byproduct of the alcohol making. It can give it a nice aroma, a nice smoky flavor, nice fruity flavor depending on the ingredients that you use. Going back to the chocolate wine, the taste was really bad, so bad that I had to throw away the batch. There's no way of saving it. I couldn't put lipstick on a pig, and one of my students suggested adding fruit flavors. However, this would just ruin it. Once a batch does not taste good, there's no way of adding little sugar, little flavors to make it better because the alcohol taste will end up being an aftertaste. Therefore, it's really important to use the ingredients right the first time. And if your batch is bad, I typically throw it away. Drop a comment below and let me know if you tend to keep bad batches. What do you do with these bad batches if you don't throw them away? I'm curious to know. What I would do next time is, first of all, I must admit that chocolate wine, it's not very appealing to the consumer because chocolate is a dark brown and I don't think people would want to drink dark brown liquids that taste bitter. Therefore, I would completely scratch the chocolate alcohol altogether. Bailey's, it's a little light, a little coffee flavor, coffee with milk color. This is fine. However, I would scratch any dark looking bitter liquids from the homebrewing list and would add something maybe like reddish or orange or pink. Pineapple juice is a good option. However, I'm also hesitant on making alcohol that's yellow because I try to avoid yellow liquids in my homebrewing journey. For it not to look like other yellow liquids, I typically go for colors that do not resemble any terms of gross liquids. Therefore, I'm avoiding dark brown and yellow in terms of homebrewing. However, the pineapple juice, the reason why I bought it is to make white wine. So I'm still looking for the perfect juice that I can use to make white wine. I haven't found it yet. I've had either white cranberry juice with preservatives. Therefore, the flavors do not match the typical white wine flavors. It's too sweet. Or I found juices that are not exactly the color of white wine. Therefore, the final product is not white wine. It's similar, but the color is a little bit too dark. That's what I use the pineapple juice for. I use 1 teaspoon of yellow pineapple juice with water, and I squeezed in some grapes to make sure that the color worked. However, this white wine batch had failed in the past. Going back to the chocolate wine, so I would not use any brown or dark yellow ingredients, and I would definitely add less sugar. By adding less sugar, you make sure that the yeast is content and it can eat all the sugar present. And if ever your wine ends up being too dry because you didn't add enough sugar, there's always something called back sweetening, where you taste your wine at the end and you're saying it needs more sweets. Therefore, you add sugar once fermentation is done and you adjust gradually. However, if you're someone that likes dry, if you like not too much sweet, then you don't have to back sweeten and your alcohol will be ready as it is. You just got to make sure, however, that the proportions are right and there's the right proportion of water to sugar to juice to the yeast, or else the final product will not taste good. So the most important thing when making alcohol, it's in the ingredients. The ingredients are going to influence your final taste. For example, when I make red wine, I use bitter cranberry juice that has no preservatives because I know that this bitter juice will translate well into bitter red wine. And if you'd like more tips and tricks on how to make alcohol with different ingredients, book a class. The link is in the description below. And if you found this video valuable, share it with a friend. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.